Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to...
Hey, what's up? I'm here with my first video, and I want to talk about 10 Clone Wars characters that I think Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes needs the most. These characters played pivotal roles in their respective episodes, and while we're still riding the hype from Season 7, I thought it'd be a good time to address it. Alright, so starting off, we have number 10, and that's none other than Clone Commander Fox. Look, I know, he's not exactly a fan favorite. Rest in peace, Fives. But I think he plays a crucial role in Fives and Ahsoka's stories, and it would be nice if CG brought in some additional clone legions to the game other than the 501st. Perhaps he could have some strong synergies with a potential Chancellor Palpatine if they actually ever add him. And maybe, if they want to be funny, they could add in some anti-clone synergy.
Traitor!
Next up, we've got Satine Kryze, the love interest of Kenobi, and the Queen of Mandalore. And she could be an interesting character. With her, they could finally get around to releasing the Mandalorian tag that they've been putting off, and she could be a really cool leader for the tribe. She could function sort of similar to Wat Tambor or Hermit Yoda, giving out buffs for her team, but not actually dealing damage to their opponents since she's a pacifist.
Here to do more of your master's bidding?
I do my own bidding.
Oh.
Number 8 is Jessie, and I'll keep this brief so that I don't spoil anything from Season 7, but Jessie has a recurring character since the early days of the show, and I think it would be a nice addition to the 501st, and if I'm being honest, they could just reskin ARC Trooper with Jessie, and I'd be perfectly happy.
Well, I've officially lost my sense of humor.
Next up is a semi-obscure one of Admiral Trench, and I'm not entirely sure if he has enough popularity to be put in the game, but I think he'd be nice. He'd be a cool separatist leader, and ideally he could have his own capital ship since the game is sorely lacking those.
Now I will use their arrogance and desperation to our advantage.
At number 6, we've got Asajj Ventress, but the bounty hunter variant. She didn't play this role for much time in the show, but I think she'd be cool to see in a more current version of her character. And as with Asajj and a few others coming up on the list, she'd be a nice neutral tag, which they've been putting off forever. I'd also like to see her fighting alongside the other bounty hunters.
What's your name?
I don't have a name.
They have a 100% success rate. It's not that they win, it's how they win that worries me.
Next up, we got Hunter and, the entire Bad Batch, Clone Force 99. I think they'd add another cool clone faction into the game, and they could have some cool synergies, and since they've played a pretty big role in Season 7, I think it'd be a nice inclusion. Plus, they could finally give Shaak Ti a proper home in the 5th slot.
The cavalry has arrived!
At number 4, I put Pre Vizsla. Yet another opportunity for CG to include some Mandalorians and a Mandalorian faction. And though compared to Satine, I think he'd be much more deserving of the title Mandalorian and as a leader of the faction as a whole. We'd also, of course, need to see the Darksaber somewhere in his kit.
Failure.
Alright, now we're to the top 3, and in the 3rd spot we've got Admiral Yularen, and though his role in the show is not that large, he's in practically every episode, and everyone's familiar with his voice from the intro, and he could be a really cool opportunity for them to have a neutral character with the ability to switch between factions, sort of similar to how Cara Dune's kit functions. Depending on if his team is entirely Galactic Republic or Empire, he could have different abilities.
Colonel Yularen. I don't know if you remember me from the Academy.
Of course. Young Agent Callus. I keep tabs on all my star pupils.
At number 2, we've got one of my favorites, which is Pong Krell. I think he's the best antagonist in the show, and the Umbaran arc is one of my favorites. And although I don't really know what faction he would belong to, considering he's not a Separatist, and he's not quite a Jedi or Sith either. But I think he could have bonus damage or anti-clone synergy that could help people deal with gas. And he would just be a fun character and an iconic one from the Clone Wars to add into the game. Finally, number 1 is pretty darn obvious. Fans have been asking for this character for a long time, and I think it'd be dumb of CG not to eventually add everyone's favorite. Galactic Legends, Trace Martez. Okay, but in all seriousness, CG, please never add Trace to the game. But the actual number 1 would be an obvious Hondo Ohnaka. He's a fan favorite, and he would be an awesome neutral character who could support the Scoundrel tribe. And as far as if CG is concerned as to what territory battle neutral characters would work in, I mean, why can't they just put him in both? I don't think that would break the game. Anyway, that's the top 10 characters from the Clone Wars that I think Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is missing. And obviously I've probably missed some, and if you have any ideas of what I should add or anything that you disagree with, feel free to comment down below, and I'll consider making a follow-up video. But thanks for watching.